Welcome back to another episode of Talk Your Abs Off. I'm your host, Abby Clapper, and today we are talking about how to prepare for the holidays without losing momentum in your fitness journey. It might seem like it's a little bit early to be talking about this, but honestly, it's almost Halloween, which means we'll be cutting the turkey and then unwrapping presents before you know it. So I wanted to get ahead of the curve, start talking about ways that you can prepare to be successful, continue to be successful in your fitness journey, even when the holidays roll around. So we've talked about this before. We've talked about the all or nothing mindset. If you want, you can go back to episode 11, which is 3 lessons I learned coaching for a top weight loss app, to hear more about all or nothing thinking as it pertains especially to food. But all or nothing can also make a difference when you're looking at your fitness routine in general as it relates to the holidays. A lot of people look at the holidays coming up and they say, I am just going to give up on everything. I'm going to stuff my face with all the food I want. This is my break. I'm not going to work out. I'm going to let the weight come back on and basically throw it all away before the new year and then start fresh. And that can be a really toxic mindset because it's actually possible to continue to eat in a healthy way, let yourself indulge for a couple of days during the holidays if that's something that's important to you, and have it still be realistic so that you can continue to at least maintain where you are and maintain your levels of fitness through exercise while still enjoying all the really good food that comes along with the holidays. A lot of people feel like they have to be either perfect through the holidays and not enjoy anything or give up completely. And we want to shift that mindset and make it more realistic. There are some simple reframes that you could do, like something is better than nothing. We've talked about this before. Even the little things, all those little habits still add up to make a difference. Ways that you can be consistent through all of the holiday chaos. And we're going to talk about what that might look like a little bit later in the episode. Starting out with that, trying to think about how to manage your time and energy for workouts. Now, during the holidays, I don't know about you, I'm usually traveling, at least Thanksgiving, and that can kind of disrupt your workout routine. If you're traveling, if you have different events with your families that are taking up multiple days, if you're driving to other people's houses for events, that can really put a wrench into your plans. So I have a few strategies that I want to share for staying active when your normal gym maybe isn't there, and maybe your gym time isn't there as well. What are you going to do without all of that equipment that you're used to, without the same plans that you have? A few ideas are making some changes to your workouts ahead of time. So looking at your workouts now, or maybe looking at what you want your workouts to be during the next couple of months and adjusting them now so that you're not scrambling at the end and trying to figure out what to do, because more often than not, you might end up doing nothing instead of doing something. So finding the time now to sit down and adjust your workouts. It might look like shorter, high-intensity workouts. So instead of a 60-minute strength training session, you might need to change it to a 15 or 20-minute HIIT session, which is high-intensity interval training. Maybe you start looking for ways to add more walks in to get more steps during your time wherever you're going to be traveling. Maybe it's walking after meals. Maybe it's something as simple as putting together a workout that only uses body weights or resistance bands while you're traveling. Even just 10 to 20 minutes of exercise is going to keep you, number one, motivated. It's going to keep you in the right mindset. And it's also going to keep you moving forward and reaching your fitness goals. Something in the fitness industry that we talk about a lot is usually it takes about 2 weeks off of your program to start losing some of the benefits of whatever you've been working on, whether it's strength training, cardio. So making sure that we're not going longer than 2 weeks, right? And even within those 2 weeks, still trying to put in things that are going to keep you active, right? So it might even look like a deload week. So a deload week, if you're looking at a program, some coaches program them in, some do not. I find that in life, Deload weeks naturally tend to happen when people go on vacation, if people get sick, if things like that happen. But some coaches do program them in. And what a deload week is essentially dropping your weight. If you're doing strength training, dropping your weight, or if you're running, dropping your mileage and letting your body recover. So you're still active, you're still using your muscles, but you're not pushing your body quite as hard so that it has time to recover and then you can come back even stronger. So maybe looking at the holidays as almost a deload, but still not giving up on everything that you're doing. Maybe it looks like body weight workouts or resistance bands or lighter weights, whatever your family has laying around at their home, and looking at it that way. Maybe doing the same exercises just with less weight, maybe changing the exercises so that it's a little bit less than what you were doing. It is totally up to you and it can still be beneficial. So, not throwing in the towel for the holidays, that's not what we want ideally as we move into the holidays. Now, a lot of people already head into the holidays with a lot of guilt ahead of what they're going to do. There's maybe a fear of undoing any progress they've made or gaining weight. And honestly, we want to shift that mindset a little bit. We've talked about the scale before. Sometimes, depending on what you eat, the scale can change, maybe 2 to 5 pounds, depending on what you're eating. If you eat a lot of things high in salt, your body's going to retain more water, so you'll be a little bit heavier. If you work out the night before, you maybe lose a little bit of water. So it's really a lot of water weight. You're not going to gain 2 to 5 pounds of fat overnight. And also just remembering that that number on the scale does not tell the whole picture. How are you feeling? How's your energy? How are you sleeping? How are your clothes fitting? Those are the things that we really want to focus on, especially during the holidays when the scale might not be telling the whole story. Now, you can still enjoy these holiday foods without, on one end of the pendulum, binging, or on the other end of the pendulum, fully restricting from everything. So, a few tips for balanced eating during the holidays is prioritizing your protein and fruits and vegetables at your meals. It's something that hopefully you're already focusing on, but if not, now is a great time to be focused on that. You can also eat mindfully. In one of my episodes, we talked about using the My Plate, which shows you, your protein, your carbs, your fruits, vegetables. And also, we talked about how to use your hand as a good measurement for those different portion sizes. So if you want to go back and check out the My Plate episode, that might be a really good one as just a little reminder to go into the holidays with. There is also a big difference between overeating once and then overeating for the next 2 months, right? So again, we can enjoy our foods. For example, if I'm going into Thanksgiving, I'm being more mindful about what I'm eating throughout the day leading up to Thanksgiving because I know that I'm going to want to enjoy the turkey, the mashed potatoes, the cranberry sauce, and especially the pies because I have the meanest sweet tooth. So I might try to avoid anything super sugary, super heavy earlier in the day, and focus more on eating my protein, my fruits and vegetables, so that I can go into Thanksgiving dinner or lunch, whatever it is for you, feeling more confident that I'm still able to fuel my body. I've fueled my body properly throughout the rest of the day, and I can enjoy all of these foods without guilt. Now, if we look at the next 2 months, if we look at November and December, and you've got holiday work parties, and you've got parties with your friends, and you've got parties with your families, we really can't use that as an excuse to overindulge for the next 2 months. That's really where our mindful eating is going to come into play, where you can absolutely enjoy a little bit of everything at the holiday parties, but really check in with your satiety, how hungry you're actually feeling. Maybe you try eating until you're 80% full. It can be really fun to find a plate and take a little bit of everything so that you can taste test everything, you can compliment the people who brought it, and you can share with everyone else in the same foods without feeling like you've overstuffed yourself or that you've eaten so much that you're feeling sick or feeling like you're losing track of the goals that you've set for yourself. Now, along with that guilt, there can be so much food guilt and pressure around the holidays. You do have people who are going to be food pushers. And dealing with food pushers, it can be really difficult because if someone comes up to you and let's say they have no idea that you've been working towards your fitness goals and they say, "Oh, you have got to try here." They just start loading things on your plate. Have some more cookies, have some more potatoes, have some more of this, have some more of that. Now is a really good time to start practicing standing up for yourself and saying, "Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm actually not hungry anymore." Or if, you're really bad at confrontation, I'm bad at confrontation, maybe it's allowing that person to put food on your plate and then, taking that plate and setting it off to the side and not coming back to it if that feels a little bit more comfortable to you. Another really toxic thing that can happen during the holidays is and I see this happen with gyms, with other fitness instructors, and it's when people say like, "Oh, you need to burn off the cookies that you're going to eat. You're going to burn off your Thanksgiving dinner." I think as a society, we should be moving past that kind of mindset because, again, exercise is not punishment for the food that we're eating. So, here's an example. I really enjoy running a turkey trot the morning of Thanksgiving. And it's mostly because I go up north, I go back up to Wisconsin. I'm living in Florida right now. I get to go up to Wisconsin, run in cooler weather, do a 5 or 10K in the morning, get my body moving, and then I don't have to exercise for the rest of the day. My workout's done in the morning. I've paid for it financially, and I also just am done with it. So then I can go through the rest of my day knowing that I've exercised and I can just enjoy the day, not thinking about trying to fit in a walk or trying to fit in a workout. But that's just me personally. So, this is another good opportunity to maybe think about how you want to schedule your workouts and but keeping in mind that we are not punishing ourselves for the foods that we are eating. Our bodies need fuel. We are allowed to eat. We should be mindful about what we're eating, but we shouldn't let that fully restrict us from enjoying what we are able to share with our friends and families during the holiday season. Now, a lot of people around you might even be talking about their cheat days or how much weight they're gaining over the holidays, or maybe they're even talking about their New Year's resolutions already. I would encourage you not to let that get into your head and affect you because your journey is your own. If someone is going to have a quote unquote cheat day, that more power to them, they are allowed to do that. If someone wants to talk about how they're gaining weight over the holidays, again, that's their own journey and that's not a reflection on you. All you can do is control what you're doing for yourself and how you want to move forward. Focusing on how you're measuring your own success through the habits that you've made and are continuing during this time and how you're feeling are going to be so important here, especially as other people start to talk about the scale around the holidays. And lastly, here, just giving yourself grace, practicing some compassion for yourself when things don't go as planned. You do not need to beat yourself up for enjoying foods. You do not need to beat yourself up over missing a workout. It's going to be okay. And, hopefully you have a supportive community around you who's going to support you in your fitness journey. And hey, you know what? They probably understand and are doing the same exact thing. So please don't beat yourself up. Be gracious to yourself and focus on what you can control to continue your fitness journey. Going back to the people who are going to start talking about New Year's resolutions, this year might be important to start thinking about setting intentions instead of resolutions. A resolution sounds very final, and as we know, most New Year's resolutions end up not panning out, and it can feel really frustrating. So if you set your intentions, if you start during the holiday season, setting your intentions, even before you go into the holidays, honestly, a lot of my clients have started doing that already. They've started working towards their goals that they want to have next year, maybe even by like mid-year, because they know that if they can continue these habits through the holidays, they are going to be so much farther along in their journey than if they were to wait until January and potentially not follow through on any of their goals for the next couple of months. So now's a really good time to focus on maybe what health is going to look like for you next year. Is it going to be adding in more steps? Is it going to be eating more fruits and vegetables? Is it you want to do a 5K for the first time? Or you want to start lifting weights even though you've never done it before and you're a little bit nervous? All of those things are really good. And honestly, by starting now, you are going to be so much farther ahead come January. Your habits are going to be solid. If you can make it through the holidays already having pushed through the difficulties of scheduling and traveling, and you've been able to jumpstart your workout routine or your healthy eating, you are going to feel so much more accomplished come January, and it's going to be easy. People are going to start talking about their New Year's resolutions, and you don't have one because you are already living that healthy lifestyle, and you don't have to put that pressure on yourself of setting that resolution that might end up not coming to fruition. You are going to be able to start January feeling proud and not feeling like you have to start over. As you start going into the holiday season, thinking about other things too, like maybe your hydration goals, how much sleep you want to get, these are also things that are really important. If you find that you're having trouble with your exercise, maybe it's a really good time to focus on staying hydrated and hitting your hydration goals. Or maybe because, I don't know, maybe you have more time off of work, you can catch up on some sleep, really solidify those sleep habits, build a really good nighttime routine for yourself that, again, you can carry into the new year. Now, as we plan for travel and for our social events, I have a few tips for you that you can maybe take with you, and also maybe some simple workout gear or apps that you can use while you're on the go that can keep you moving forward towards your goals. So, like we talked about before, you absolutely can do body weight workouts. That will be completely sufficient while you're traveling, while you're spending time with family. It is absolutely something that is better than nothing. You can also use resistance bands. They are super easy to pack with you if you're flying, if you're driving. Resistance bands, there's a couple different kinds. So you have the loop bands that are a full circle that can loop around your wrists. It can loop around your legs so that you can do squats with them. And then there's also resistance bands that are just straight. They aren't a loop. Some of them have handles, some of them don't. And you can also use those for things like bicep curls, band pull aparts, shoulder press. Anything, really, any exercise that you can do with a dumbbell, you can use resistance bands for. I'll put an Amazon link to some bands that I recommend in my show notes so that if you aren't sure where to start, you can just use those. Another really good thing for you to start thinking about is preparing snacks for travel days. So I have talked about this with people before, especially people who travel for work or go to conferences. A lot of times, you might not have access to a microwave. You might not have access to a refrigerator. So finding things that are high in protein and also bringing along your fruits and vegetables, right? These are easy things that you can pack. If you're traveling on an airplane, chicken salad's probably not the best idea. Hard-boiled eggs might not be the best idea if you're sharing space with other people. But, if you're going on a long drive, hard-boiled eggs are really good. You can do other things that are really high in protein, like high protein overnight oats. You can pack different types of nuts. You can use protein bars. You can do things like jerky or beef sticks, and those things just have to be careful with the sodium and the fat, but you can usually find a few good ones that would be really good for travel. Things like fat-free plain Greek yogurt, and you could even do some roasted chickpeas or some edamame that are also high in protein. And then, like I said, bringing along your fruits and vegetables, assuming you're, maybe flying or driving just for a day or two, bringing those fresh fruits and vegetables, bananas, apples, tangerines, oranges, things that travel well, that you can take with you that will fit into your goals and help you stay consistent with your goals. Some apps that you can use if you're not already using it, MyFitnessPal can help you stay on track with what you're eating, or at least track what you're eating so that you know what to expect when it comes to the changes that might happen to your body. So tracking our food really gives us good data points and can also help you plan the rest of your day. So maybe if you know what you're going to be having at a Christmas party or at Thanksgiving, maybe putting that food into MyFitnessPal ahead of time, you can actually see how many calories if you have a specific calorie goal that you're trying to reach, you can see how many calories you have left for the day and plan the rest of your food around that. So MyFitnessPal, Chronometer, there's a bunch of different food tracking apps that can be really good if you want to keep an eye on your food. Again, this is also a time where maybe you are more focused on your intuitive eating and you're just going to focus on how your body feels, not trying to be overly full and just trying to eat to about that 80% and just listening to your body. This might be good practice for that too. You could also start building movement into some of your traditions. So maybe you finish Thanksgiving dinner and a couple members of the family want to go on a walk. That would be a really great way to bond and to also aid in digestion, get everything moving, and you might feel better after you try that. If you've been focusing on the holidays and it's been the same thing every year and you have left just feeling like you have overindulged and failed throughout the holidays, now is the time to change that mindset and maybe understand that things just might look different. It's not a failure. No matter what happens, it's not a failure, right? We've talked about it before. Even if you feel like you failed, it is still a lesson that you can learn and use for the future. So a failure isn't really a failure if you're able to use it as a benefit in the long run. There's one more thing that I want to talk about, and it comes from a place of being someone who is sober. I've been sober for almost 2 years. Last year, I went through my first holiday season sober, and I'll tell you, it was kind of challenging. A lot of times during the holidays, there's a lot of alcohol everywhere, right? Even if you yourself still drink alcohol, that is totally okay. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to judge anybody for drinking alcohol. So many people around me still drink alcohol, and that's totally okay. This decision was mine. However, as someone who's sober, I do talk to a lot of people about my sobriety journey, but I know that there are a lot of people who do not. And I want to advocate for myself and for those people and maybe offer up some alternatives to, even if you decide that you are still going to have alcohol at these holiday functions, you might not know that someone in your family has been struggling with sobriety or with alcohol and that they want to be sober or are sober curious, and maybe providing some NA options, some non-alcoholic options like NA beers, maybe some fun mocktails, just to have, even especially if there's kids around, having a mocktail option might make them feel more included with the adults when the adults are all drinking. So you could even use that as an out, like, oh, let's make some mocktails for the kids, but then it's also available for people if they don't want to drink. My mom actually did this. We had a Christmas party last year that I went home to, and she made a mocktail jug of, I forgot what it was, but it was really good. And it was there for the kids. It was there for any adults who also just wanted to have a mocktail and not even, drink alcohol. People were driving, so it made a lot of sense. The second thing, when it comes to people in your family or your friends who you might or might not know that they are working through their sobriety, is when it comes to gifts. So a lot of times gifting alcohol is really easy because who doesn't want alcohol? Everybody wants alcohol. Everybody wants champagne. Everybody wants beer. Everybody wants whatever it is. Contrary to popular belief, not everyone wants those things. So now is your time to get really creative with your gifts. Again, you might not know who in your family is going through this, so maybe taking a second to think about what some other fun gift ideas might be that don't involve alcohol or maybe don't even involve food, because you never know what someone is trying to do. Now, again, people can absolutely re-gift things. If you do gift them these things, they will probably happily re-gift them. But if you want to take a step forward and be proactive, you can start thinking about maybe even some creative activities that you could gift, maybe gifting a cooking class or pottery classes, or maybe even if you still want to go the food route, there are a lot of companies where you can buy a monthly subscription and they'll send you the ingredients and the recipes, and all you have to do is cook. You could do it with your friend, you could do it with your partner, you could do it with someone in your family. So those are just a few different ideas. It was sitting on my heart, and it was just something that I think we should all really take into consideration as we start thinking about the holidays and what's going to mean the most to people. This is also something where if you don't know that somebody's pregnant, or even if you do, obviously you don't want to gift them alcohol either. So it's not even just for people who are sober, but also just the people in your life who might want something other than alcohol. All right, that was a lot of information. I hope you were able to take something away from it and can start thinking about how you want to craft your exercise and your nutrition as we start to get closer to this holiday season. If you have any questions, if you want to talk to somebody about it, if you need an accountability buddy, I am always here. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Coach Abby Clapper, And you can also check out my website, endorphinwellness.com, ENDORFIN wellness.com, where you can fill out the contact form. I'd love to do a free consultation with you and just talk about what kind of help or support you might need as the holidays are coming up. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one.